Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, When Harry Met Sally. Starring Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, we do a shallow dive. So get your sauce on the side and stay tuned.
Welcome back to Old Roommates. This is Christina and
Brian is the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. Today is When Harry Met Sally. And as we always do, two things you need to know. We are going to start with how we felt then. But the other thing is, I have absolutely no idea what Christina's going to say. And she has no idea what I'm going to say. We have not
never know.
We have not talked about When Harry Met Sally.
No, we
Probably
haven't.
ever.
But
we're about to,
funny.
Right?
It's funny that we are choosing movies and shows that we really, well, aside from Sex and the City, that we haven't really watched together.
No, because I feel
it's
like
kind of interesting.
Yeah,
we haven't been doing that intentionally.
No, but it's good. I mean, because I feel like when we lived together, we had our absolute obsessions that we were obsessed with Queer as Folk, Gays, Our Lives, and that. But it's good to go further back when we didn't know each other to rediscover these things together.
It's fun.
Yeah,
Very fun.
Fun is the word. Fun.
That's us.
Fun.
So When Harry Met Sally, one of my
this is now what year is this? We didn't look it up. 89. All right, start talking.
You're going to say 89?
I'm going to say no. What are you going to say?
Well, I'm going to say 80. Yeah, I guess 89 is a good guess.
Come on.
Fine, I'll say 90. I'll say 90. 91. I'll say 91. Anyway, one of my favorite movies. I really, I love this movie back then. Mm-hmm. It resonated with me a lot, and I watched it several times. For some reason, I've always, whenever I liked a movie, I would watch it several times. I think I was always pushing it on people and say, "Oh, you have to watch this. You have to watch this." But I remember back then, I was a big leader of the men and women can be friends situation.
Oh, you were a big supporter of that idea.
I was a big supporter of that idea, yes. Right. And so when this came out, I remember it resonating with me and just me agreeing with so much of it and getting frustrated at it as well because it was very, I guess I wasn't a big fan of the ending because of how I felt about men and women being friends.
Okay.
And I was like, why do they have to, end up hooking up? It just frustrated me that they had to end up going that route.
Yeah. So it's funny because I feel like we have that same take where when we see a movie back then, we were like, you have to see this movie, you have to see this movie. Like we would just talk about it. And I think a lot of people did that. It was like, oh, you have to watch this movie, I'll watch it with you. When Harry Met Sally, I hadn't seen this movie in a very long time. To the point where I remember it being this sprawling, if I were to guess, 2 hours, 2 hour and 20 minutes sprawling, sort of ode to friendship and love, and with this Valentine
3 month movie.
No, you know what I mean? It's like a long hours. Well, it's
sure.
what did I say? Month?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh. No, but I just remember being this having an epicness to it. I remember liking it a lot. Mm-hmm. But I remember having just because it 89. So it is 89.
89. Oh.
So I was 17, and so I think maybe even 16 because I think it came out. 16, 17. So I did not have any real perspective on men and women relationships. So you're kind of just going with what the movie's setting up for you. But I remember loving the scene of them walking in the park. I remember visuals.
Sure. And
of course you remember the more iconic the orgasm scene, which we'll get to. So I remember liking it, but I remember thinking it was this is a sprawling Valentine to friends that become lovers. And that was where I kind of left that. But then now, the thing's 95 minutes.
Right. It's so short. It is a very short movie, and I agree. I felt it was a much longer movie back then. I felt it wasn't necessarily a friends becoming lovers kind of movie, but a women and men becoming friends.
Got it.
Kind of situation. And apparently I was very hung up on that because...
Well, you know what's interesting, though? But I feel like we've had conversations where you had complicated, like, as a teenager, complicated relationships with...
Right.
Or, like, trust issues, I feel like you said once.
I don't know. And I don't know, again, yes, we've talked about this before, and I don't know where that all comes from because I came from a very stable household.
Yeah.
But it's true. Especially in my teens, I felt like, you know, men and women were so different. Boys and girls were so different. But then as I got older, I think I was almost like hell-bent on being friends with men. So I think I was more, had the issue with relationships with men, but not necessarily friendships with men. And I think that's why this movie resonated with me so much, was you see a nice, healthy relationship between, you know, Harry and Sally, eventually.
Yeah, I was waiting for that word. I'm like, I think we said different movies.
Eventually.
So let's talk about now. So when you rewatched it...
I rewatched it. I truly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was so much... it was definitely different watching it this time around. I had completely forgotten about the little snippets in between of the old couples, which were my favorite parts of the movie back then and even now. They're so fun and so adorable. And
all the way up.
All the way. 9 extra floors. 9 extra floors. Really, really cute. Yeah. I read they were all true stories, but actors were...
Oh, wow.
You know, they hired actors to say the stories, but they were all true stories of couples meeting. Really fun, unique, adorable. This time around, I noticed that the points of view were super black and white, especially at the beginning, like very black and white. You're either low maintenance or high maintenance. You can either be friends or not be friends. You know, like very, very black and white, which now I see everything as a little bit more of a gray area.
Right.
And I think that might speak to my maturity now, since I'm super mature now. So
Super mature.
So, what about you? What do you think?
Okay, so
your thoughts?
I'll front load this by saying I loved it. Carl, my husband, was in the other room and working, and I was watching it by myself. And he's like, Brian, I don't think... He probably called me Hun, for being honest. He's like, Hun, it's like, you were laughing so much. I was laughing the whole...
fun.
It is so... And as an adult now, like, there are just some really funny things. Like, I feel like you know these people, like, in your day-to-day life, the people that are sort of very stuck and very know-it-all, and the people you do have friends. I have friends now that, like, watching them order something at a restaurant is, like, an epic ordeal. Like... And, but it's like, first of all, I said 10 things, but
first of all,
10 times, yeah, right.
First of all.
But here's the thing, the chemistry.
Oh my gosh, that's the first thing I wrote.
It's incredible.
The first thing I wrote.
Okay, so I'm saying this is big, and everyone should watch this movie as soon as possible if you haven't already, but watch it. There's a scene where Billy Crystal says, "You're attractive" to Meg Ryan. And and I think that I have not done any research on this movie at all, but she blushes in real time. I don't know enough about biology or acting to say that you can make yourself blush. I don't know if you can.
I don't know.
But Meg Ryan is so good in this, and Billy Crystal is so good in this movie.
They're both so good, and I honestly, I am not a big fan of Billy Crystal, typically.
I'm not a fan of either.
But I did like Meg Ryan. I did like her back in the day.
Fan. Like, I'm not a fan.
Right. Oh, yeah. I'm like
right. If they were coming to town, I wouldn't make a rush to see them.
But Billy Crystal always struck me as super annoying.
In this movie or in general? No,
in general. Okay. In this movie, I loved him. I loved him with Meg. I thought they had amazing chemistry, amazing timing. That's truly what made the movie. Whoever did the casting for this movie should get, like, an Academy Award, because it was really, really good casting. I
agree. I think so many of the banter, and it's like, it's just so, oh my God, it's so good. Like, even
it's
when he
real
says,
bad,
he's like, and he's just talking so fast and sharp, but she's like this, she's like sort of this thoughtful, person. He's just like, man, or like just machine gunning her with his opinions. And he's like, yeah, somewhere between 30 seconds and all night is your problem. And she's like stunned that he would even say it to her. First, she goes, I don't have a problem. He's like, yeah, you do. But it's lightning.
It's so good. It's like a real conversation.
Good. And this movie did get a lot of acclaim, like when it was released, and it is so deserved. Being an adult now and like seeing the adult interactions, but things that didn't even hit me as like a what did I say I was? 89, 17. And when they're talking, the thing about she's talking about the underwear, and she's like,
the days of the week
and she's like, and where is Sunday? And she's telling the story, and you're completely engrossed, and it's like, and this is high praise, but this like Golden Girls level of like storytelling, and he's like, well, what happened to Sunday? She's like, well, I told him, and he didn't believe me. She's like, there is no Sunday. He's like, why not? He's like, because of God. Like, it's just like, and like it just ends. It's just
and
so
that's that.
Funny.
Their
And
expressions and
her
so
telling the story is funny.
Yes, they're both so good. They really are just so good. And even like Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
And Bruno, what's his name?
Bruno Kirby.
They're both so good, and they're believable friends, right? You believe that these guys are friends. These are the types of friends that they would have.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was interesting is, one thing that was kind of annoying was 5 years later they didn't recognize each other. Oh, I feel like 5 years later I would
not
recognize.
That much time.
I would recognize.
You'd remember a life-changing road trip.
Yes, it was 8 hours or so. I mean, it was a long time. Yeah. And it was intense conversations.
I thought it was even longer. Was it longer than 8 hours?
It was from Chicago. Wait, it was from Chicago to New York.
So
whatever that is.
Damn it, whatever. But yeah, but I agree. The point is, I agree with you.
It was.
But I wonder if they were pretending. Because she said, "Thank God." She goes, "Oh, thank God he didn't recognize me." But I think he did.
Well, I think so. When they started, he was talking to her boyfriend, right? And so his focus wasn't on her, but you could see his eyes kind of going back and forth, like something was there. Yeah. But he just didn't remember. And then it was after when she started ordering the drink, he realized on the plane when she's like, "Oh, I want the olive on the side." And blah, blah, blah. Then he realized it was her. But I thought it was unrealistic for them to have not recognized each other like right away after only 5 years. If it had been 10 years, I could see it. But 5 years is not a long time.
Not a lot of time. I thought it was funny that, again, we'll get to the orgasm thing, but before that happens, she walks into a diner and she's arguing with him, and they're arguing the whole movie, but she says, "It just so happens I've had plenty of good sex," and like you hear like, the people stop and like all look at her, and she's like just standing there alone and embarrassed, and she's like puts her head down and slinks away. And I thought it was funny. It was like, the 2 times in a diner that she gets are both sex related, and they're so wildly different sex conversations.
Very different sex conversations. I thought it was interesting that when they did reconnect on both times, so 5 years later and then 10 years later, they always came back to that one little conversation where they said that he wanted to have sex with her. And that was where they always got stuck, like, "Oh, well, you wanted to have sex with me, and that's why we couldn't be friends." But if you remember the conversation, it really wasn't about that. It was, he just said, "You're really attractive." Yes. Like, that was the only comment that he had. And then she kind of took it to that extra level, like, "Well, you shouldn't say that. Amanda is my friend."
That's right.
But it wasn't like him really hitting on her. He was just saying, "You're attractive." And then all of a sudden, like, 5 years later or 10 years later, they're thinking back, it's like, "Oh, well, you wanted to have sex with me," or "You didn't want to have sex with me, and that's why we didn't become..."
But if he's saying men and women can't be friends because sex always gets in the way, and she's like, "Well, then I guess we're not going to be friends then." Right. That, I think it is suggested because I think it actually is accurate. I think it's an accurate thing. It's a step further.
Right.
It's not explicitly said, but he does say men and women can't be friends with sex.
Right. And that was like the whole thing about the whole movie. Yeah. Is like men and women can't be friends. And that's, if they had said, well, it's because you didn't say that. I mean, they always first went back to, you wanted to have sex with me, or I wanted, you wouldn't have sex with me.
Yeah.
It all came down to that, which was, I thought that was just sort of interesting because it was just this little comment.
Yeah. I do think she was also just a little, like, disgusted of him. I mean, we're talking about a long road trip. I mean,
he
remember...
spits the seed on the window.
Oh, that's me. That was amazing, though. That still took me by surprise this time. But then, but remember the scene in the airport where they spend the flight together, because the guy moved. That is hilarious to me. It was like, oh, you guys know each other? Do you want my seat?
And she's like, no.
No. And then
he's like, yes.
And then they're on the belt, the walking, I don't know what we call those things. What do you call it?
Sidewalk. A moving sidewalk.
Moving sidewalk?
Yeah.
So they're talking, but he is not stopping. He is talking so much. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is the moment where I think most people would be like, you have to just shut up. And she does say, she's like, okay, bye. Like, and I was like, that is the right response. Like, if she was at all interested in that conversation, like, I would have been like, oh, like, who would have tolerated that? So I kind of like that. Even the movie thinks, all right, he's a lot and she's a lot at times too. And so I appreciated that scene.
Yes, and I liked that they were equally strong characters.
Oh, completely.
They were really equal in their sort of quirkiness.
Yeah. The first time she laughs at a joke, did you catch that?
Remind
Sure.
me.
So he's talking about that the obituaries should be combined with the real estate.
Oh, yes.
And he leaves a wife and children in a beautiful 4-bedroom, whatever the line is. It's not the lines. But she laughs. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty dark joke. But she has had this breakup. Like, so meaning... It's interesting, her character, because she's jaded. And now this sort of slightly jaded Sally finds him attractive. Like, she finds him funnier. Like, her guard is a little down, and I was like, oh, well, that's why because she's experienced some things, and maybe even some of what, the conversations have panned through this different take on her life and the things she's been through. She now finally can, like, chill a little bit and know, you know what, I can...
Well, and here's another part to that. And I feel, watching this again, aside from the first meeting, well, actually, I don't know. Forget about that part. No, so... I felt like her character was sort of set in that if you're with a guy, then it's a romantic relationship. So although Billy Crystal is saying those words, men and women can't be friends, I think that she really and truly can't be friends with a man. Okay? And the reason why I say that is because coming back to the scene that you're talking about when she was laughing at his joke. Yeah. So this is right after a breakup. Yeah. She is not interested in a relationship. Take it from me. Right after a breakup, you don't want anything to do with a man. He's also recently divorced. Yeah. So a relationship is not even remotely on the table for either of them. And I think that is what makes her more...
Like letting her guard down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were saying, like the guard and the walls are down. It's because it's not even an option. And I think that kind of takes her by surprise. Although I will say, I do think that she was interested in him earlier than what was really portrayed in the movie.
Well, like I said, he compliments her. He says, you're attractive. And she blushes. It's a kind of an amazing scene. And I don't know if any of that was improv, like if his lines were improv or anything like that, but it is so legit. It's a legitimate blush, and I don't think I've seen that in the movie.
When is this? When they first met, or further down the line?
So I'll tell you what I wrote before now. So it's definitely it's the car. Okay, I don't know if they're in the car then. It might be in the diner. I think it's in the diner because you would have to have seen her face clearly. But because right after that, I wrote Meg is a bad movie driver. She drives like Kermit the Frog.
You are really involved with the driving.
You know what? First of all, I take driving very seriously, and also Christina, I'm surprised at you because the entire road trip they don't have their seatbelts buckled.
I noticed.
Did you notice that?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So I know it's a pet peeve of yours. My pet peeve is just bad driving, and whether it's bad driving in a movie, not looking at the road. John Cusack, like a horrible driver in movies. He looks at his co-star more than he looks at the road. It does bother me. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but I feel like that's when it breaks the wall for me. It's like, oh, this is a movie. They're not really driving.
Right. It's not realistic.
Did you see her driving this car? Her arms are moving like it's
all over
it's like, what are you doing? Are you just taking one big crazy series of turns? Like you're on a highway. Like you're on a highway or a freeway, whatever. Like there's no turns on a highway.
Right.
Unless you're, I don't know. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
So that bothers me.
It makes no sense.
But that blush, look for it. It's very cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I remember at that time, I think it's in the museum. Wait, she asks him to dinner.
Christina's reviewing her notes.
Stupid notes. It's when I think he asks her to dinner when they're doing the accents.
Okay, right? That goes in
Which
my X
annoys
file.
me. See, that's why I don't like Billy Crystal. Is his stupid accents. I can't stand them.
You didn't like "You Look Marvelous," the hit song?
Nope, okay. Not even a little bit.
Do you remember that was a song though?
I didn't until you just said that.
Okay.
Yeah. So he asks her to dinner, and she had a look. She had like a look, and I think that she at this point wants to date. I think she wants to date, and then
date him. Or just start dating?
To date him.
Oh.
I think she went... Wait. When she asked him to dinner, she had a look.
Because he said, what do you have? A hot date? And she goes,
I think this is a different scene that I'm thinking about. Anyway, I'm so sorry. It says that... So my notes say, I think that she wanted to date him when she asked him to dinner because she had a look. But I don't know what that means. And then it says, and then it said when the other scene is when it said, I think it's great that you have a date.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you do?
Yeah.
And I think she was kind of like, well, that's kind of annoying that you think it's great that I have a date. Like I think she had a hard time being friends with him without getting romantic.
Proving his point.
Right.
I think it's a very smart movie in that way.
Yes.
Because, she can't
And I didn't pick up on that when I first watched it.
Because she can't say it, because then that would make him have been right all along.
Right.
And that would have had to make her rethink some things.
And then, this is a criticism too, during the New Year's Eve, the first New Year's Eve when they're together. Yeah. And they're dancing, and they start dancing like cheek to cheek, and they start getting that little like look to each other, like, they start humming or whatever. But, they had the song in the background was so over the top.
What was
Do you remember what it was?
Oh, two lovers out
when
of
you
friends.
Make two lovers from friends.
Yeah.
I'm like,
really?
You could have done any kind of other song. And
Christina,
we did not need to be, you don't need to shove that down our throats.
It's up there with driving.
It's really ridiculous.
I don't like when things are so literal. Like
me too.
When the music matches the scene like too much.
Oh my gosh. So off topic a little bit. There's a music video.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Shoot skis. I can't remember the name. But I used to love the song. I have to, talk because I have to think about it.
Okay, so I'm going to, the Papagosh scene with all the weird accents. So Christina, it is funny how much that's in my X column of what I didn't like.
Yeah.
But do we not do that? Like,
oh my God, we totally do.
You, Jen, Naomi.
We always have
our circle of friends. Just if anyone doesn't know us too close personally, that is pretty much how we spend more than a couple weekends a year, where we just basically do the worst accents you've ever heard. With me, Christina.
They're not that bad.
No, they're good. They're entertaining.
Mine are pretty
good. But sometimes we just we just do it. There's no rhyme or reason, and we'll just bust into a British accent or some crazy accent, and so it's funny because we do that, we behave that way, and yet the movie does it, and I'm like, ugh, I was disgusted, and I don't know why. Because it was like juvenile, and I didn't like. She was giggling too much.
I get annoyed because I feel like it's just Billy Crystal trying to be Billy Crystal.
Yeah, well, Robin Williams always did that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like they have to give them the breathing room of like, yeah.
Come on, enough. So, all right, I found the song I was talking about.
Good.
I'm so sorry, but this is hilarious. So you hate literal. So this is a song called "Woman Like You." And it's by Lee Brice. And it's a great song. It's a really, really sweet song. Okay. It's really cute. I like it a lot. It's like a country-ish kind of. I'm not really a country fan, but it's cute. It's a cute song. Until I watched the video. Oh. Do yourself a favor and watch it. It's so horrible. Oh. It's laughable. Every single thing he says.
Oh, no,
like,
she does.
I like your fried chicken. And they show a thing of fried chicken. You have a lot of pillows on your bed. They show a bed with pillows. Oh. It's, I like seeing you do yoga. She's doing yoga. I'm like, oh my gosh, stop.
Yeah.
It's so horrible. So I agree with you in that I hate that whole literal stuff, like shoving things down your throat. Like,
when it's just too on the nose. Yeah, it's just
too much.
It is. So we just gave it a lot of praise. Mm-hmm. Should we say?
Well, I have more praise.
I do too. Let's keep going.
Do you want to take a break first, or do you? Are you ready? Oh no! No. Let's talk more praise.
I don't know. I don't need a break yet.
No, that's fine.
But I do have a lot of nicer things to say. Some nice things to say. Really, Carrie Fisher, you mentioned her briefly.
Oh my gosh,
just such a real character. Like
so funny.
She loves like the challenge of a married man. Like it's so crazy,
so funny. But she's so intent on fixing everybody up. She has a Rolodex of names. Sally says, "I broke up with him."
Yeah,
and she mentions a guy's name, and a friend said, "Oh, he got married," and she goes, like, really married, and she just folds down the corner of the Rolodex card. Married. She's not throwing out the card.
No, I love that then. I love that
it
then.
Was great.
At 17,
she was fantastic in this movie.
Also, when they're sitting there and Carrie Fisher's character is trying on wedding dresses, and she says, "Oh, I saw what's his face, her ex-boyfriend, right?" And she's like, "Oh, with this girl." She's like, "I think I'm getting this right." And she goes,
"No, she was talking about Harry. Harry was dating somebody." And she said, have you met her? And
she says, thin, pretty, big tits. Your basic
nightmare.
Oh my god,
it's so true.
That's a great line. So also, Nora.
That's why most people call me a basic nightmare. Just kidding.
This was written by Nora Ephron, and I think you know this. I think I've read almost every word she's ever, because I love her books. She's long gone now, but I love her. I love her writing. It's very blunt and sharp and just direct, and it doesn't waste time. And so I think that speaks to this movie because it is 95 minutes. It's a sprawling amount of time, and it's filled with these like very real. Lived in characters.
It is really, it's very well written. I love the dialogue. It's so realistic. The friendships, I really felt like that was the strongest part of this whole movie, is that it's so realistic. I loved, one of my favorite scenes is the fight they have on the street after they had bumped into Helen and he was being a dick and he left, and Harry, and Sally comes out to comfort him and they have this huge fight, and it's so good. Mm-hmm. It's so good. In fact, she says, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Angry. Yeah.
Like, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Like, you feel it.
Yeah.
And it snaps him right out of it.
Yeah. Well, she also says, like, I don't have sex with people out of revenge, or like
right,
revenge
like you do. And it was a really good fight, and I like, again, great chemistry between the two of them. It was a believable fight. It was words that was being said are real words that you would have in a fight.
And I also liked right before that. Is that the wagon wheel scene?
Yes.
So they have the fight in the street, and they come back, and he's throwing the wagon wheel out.
Yeah, so fun.
And Carrie Fisher, she's like, "I want you to know, I'll never fight with you about that wagon wheel."
Never, ever.
But Billy Crystal has a really good scene in that when he gets really mad about his divorce, and he's like, because before you know it, you're gonna, fight that the cocktail's going to cost you X amount of money in court. Like, and it was his chance to be like, you know what? He's like damaged. Like, he is hurt. Right. This is, I guess he was, the divorce is like really hanging on him. And it's where a lot of the new bitterness comes from. And, explaining some of his behavior. But yeah, no, I thought it was really great. I thought, random, but I wrote down a singing machine. They didn't say karaoke. There's that scene where they see Helen and Ira, which Helen, Ira's a little creepy. Helen is terrifying. Yes. She was in Parenthood, that actress.
That's who it was.
Playing a much nicer role.
Yes, that's who it was.
That whole exchange is disturbing. She looks like creepy. I mean, she looks like she's just judging them right down the middle. Yeah.
Yes. Not a pleasant-looking woman. Very opposite of the Meg Ryan character. Yeah. Very together. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That was a fun scene.
What do you think? Should we take a little break? Because now I think I might have to go into some negatives, and I don't want to end necessarily in negatives.
Sure.
But yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we're back talking about When Harry Met Sally.
And yeah, and I can't even say final thoughts because we apparently loved it so much. We still have more to say.
We really did.
But this hasn't happened before. Like I think this might be my favorite revisit since we've started this.
Really, I feel like there was another one that we really, really loved. E.T. No, I feel like there was something else. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
So
I guess personally, I'm speaking for myself.
Should we talk about the cringy hookup?
Which one? The cringy hookup?
When they finally sleep together.
Oh. You didn't like it.
Hated it much.
So because she was crying and it led to sex.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That is do you see this giant X on my page?
That's a big X.
I wrote the crying Sally, I'm difficult, and I wrote blech.
Oh.
What happened? Why? Like it was so plain. It was like that is such an important moment in the movie, and I think it's a big X like on my list for me because it doesn't know what that scene is. Is it real? Because she's saying some very real things. Mm-hmm. Like it's not that he didn't want to get married; it's that he didn't want to marry me.
Right.
I remember being 17 or 16, hearing that line and being like, "Oh shit!" Like that's sad. True. That is really sad. But then 48 seconds later, she's like, "I'm difficult," and I'm like, "Ugh." Like the baby talk. It goes so wrong.
I wish I could just fast forward through that whole scene.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was intended to be cringy that way, like make you feel super uncomfortable and I knew it made me feel really uncomfortable because from the beginning I didn't want them to get together. I wanted them to stay friends. Yeah, so maybe that's a different point of view to someone who is a rom-com fan and wanted them together. For me, I was like, no, don't do it. You just stay friends. It's better that way. Back then. But the fact that she was upset. Now I get why she was so upset. Like she really, I understood why she was so upset. And I understood why it was so upset. Because she hadn't really, this whole time she hadn't really, as far as we knew, had a breakdown about the breakup.
That's
right? She's always been like, oh, it's fine. I gave what I could.
I hear he's fine.
And he's okay. And he gave as much. And then we walked away. It's super
and
healthy.
He even says, wow, you seem really,
healthy,
well-adjusted, something.
Like
she's
that.
like, yeah. And she realizes that, to your point, she hasn't really dealt with it.
So now it's all coming out, everything that she ever felt, and I get that. So she calls him, and he comes over. Great, nice friend move. Mm-hmm. But honestly, he should never have let it get that far. She almost seemed like she was drunk, which I don't think she was.
No,
but it was just like the baby talk and that whole thing. And even the kiss. Like, had they even kissed like that before? Like, as friends?
No, I know.
No. Yeah. And so all of a sudden now they're going to start kissing and then they have sex. Yeah. Oh, it was awful. And then you see that scene where she's just has this huge smile on her face and he's laying there like
frozen.
And you know, he already had this conversation, right?
He can't wait to get out of there.
He can't. He's trying to think of an excuse to get out.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, based on the conversations that he's had before, that's what he's thinking. Oh my gosh, it just gives me a pit in my stomach every time I watched it. I couldn't stand it.
I didn't like it. Just couldn't for me. So I did not think they would just stay friends the whole movie. I knew there would be a moment, and like I think for me it was like it just didn't get the balance right. I don't know I don't even know if the movie knew what it wanted to do, because it was like she goes from having this very real little monologue. Well, no, I'm sorry. She goes from flinging the tissues around like a psychopath. Then she has the serious monologue, and it's really like sad. And then she has the joke about, I'm going to be 40. And he's like, yeah. And then he makes her laugh. But then she's like, what's wrong with me? I'm difficult. And it's the baby. It's like, for me, I'm repeating myself. It was just, it could not figure out the tone. And I think it's, in like, the movie is still amazing. I loved watching it, and I'll obviously watch it again. But yeah, I agree with you. That scene is just sloppy, and I don't mean Meg Ryan. Like
it's like the writing or something.
It's just all, none of it really works.
Right, and I don't know if it was intended to be so
messy,
sloppy and messy, so that we were uncomfortable.
And
then, but I mean, I guess afterwards it seemed kind of effective in that, okay, let's have dinner, let's talk it out. And they're both like, I'm going to say it was a mistake first. And they both, and then, oh no, because he wanted to say it first. No, he wanted her to say it first. I don't know. One of them wanted, they both wanted the same thing.
Sally said it first. She said, Harry, it was right.
It was
Harry's a mistake. He was like, oh, I'm so glad to hear you say that.
But then did you see the look on her face after she said that? She's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, right.
Really?
Yeah.
You were supposed to argue with me. So clearly, I mean, they both wanted different things at that point in time, and then she's mad, and he's clueless. Like, why is she mad? And he keeps calling her and trying to like get her to be friends with him again, and she's just pissed at him because he's just being, just a jerk. All that. It seemed realistic in the way that they handled it. I think.
Yeah. Well, then, but she says, like, you took... Then there's the fight, right? And it's like, you took pity on me.
And then there's the fight.
And that's when she says, fuck.
Yes, and she says it there, too. Yeah, she says it 2 times, and it's so effective. Because what does she say? It was the fight. Oh, man, I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, it was a very, very effective. And she finally, picks up the phone. She's like, just stop calling. Like, enough.
Oh, yeah.
Just enough. Oh, I remember what she was going to say. She's like, I'm sick of being your consolation prize.
Great,
I'm
great
not
line.
your consolation prize. And that was great. That really hit it home.
Yeah.
So.
And then the other big scene, which I kept alluding to 4 times already now, is like the orgasm scene. And
right.
I really, I remember, like being like, oh my God, like being 16 and being like, like she's making orgasm sounds at Katz's Deli or whatever. But as an adult, and I was like, this is bullshit. And no one
would ever do that.
And not only that,
especially her. She has so many. She has so many hang-ups.
She would never do that. No, I would honestly think that she might do it like walking on along in a park with him if there's not too many people around. I think she would and be more playful. But sitting across from someone in a deli in a crowded restaurant, it just doesn't make no sense. I did write though that if that were to happen, it would be very New York for everyone just to go about their business, because people just behave, whatever. But But yeah, but she would never, and specifically, like you're saying, her character would never do it. So it's just a weird scene. It's like, yeah, it's this iconic thing that everyone references, even today. Yeah. But it's like, it's probably one of the weaker parts of the movie.
Yes, I agree. Just sort of out of character. Mm-hmm. And the whole, I'll have what she's having.
Yeah, that's cute. And that's Carl Reiner's mother.
Yes.
Yeah. And and then we just found out that Emily at the game night party is Carl Reiner's daughter, I think. Yeah.
Nepotism all over the place.
Yeah. And let's see. Oh, I loved... No, I'll do one more negative. And then, because the rest is just positive. Okay. How old is Sally? The final sequence of the movie.
The final
She's 32. Sequence.
Is that what it is?
She's only 40. It's like in 8 years.
Oh, right.
Okay. Christina, at what age did you learn the effective way to carry a Christmas tree?
20?
Right? I mean, like, do you remember? She can't figure out how to carry a Christmas tree, and she's
stepping all over herself.
She's lived in New York since she was 22, so she's lived there for 10 years. It's like, yeah, New York. I think people know. I lived in New York for a while, and like so, but you quickly learn how to walk down a sidewalk with weirdly shaped objects.
Yeah,
most humans do, and she just can't maneuver this Christmas tree. She knocks something over, and I was like, you know what? It just rings false. And I think even for her, her character, it's like, sure, is it funny? Yes. Does it ring false? Yes.
Yes. And I think it's supposed to speak to how much,
she needs him.
She needed
or someone.
Him or somebody to help her carry a Christmas tree.
Yeah. And that's it. And then the other positives, I laughed so hard when they do the double date with Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby, Jess and Marie.
Yes.
Are their names. So Jess and Marie, and then it doesn't go well. They're walking down the street, and the cab shows up. And it's like, listen, just don't do anything tonight or now because he's very fragile, she's very fragile, blah blah blah. And it's like, I'm gonna go taxi. I'll go with you. Bye.
Yeah, that was hilarious. So fun. I remember that from last time too. It was so good.
Such a funny sequence. It's just the timing is so good.
She stole every scene, I felt.
I agree with you. She is truly her own. She's her own character. It's really a good performance.
Rest in peace.
May she rest in peace. And I quote, there's a line she says as Carrie Fisher she says, be scared and do it anyway. And I sometimes I just think it's a really good motivator. I mean, she's certainly made interesting choices in her life, but I think that is a really inspiring quote. I like that idea.
That's a great idea.
And then the only other thing is I love the shot at the end at the New Year's Eve party when they see each other from across the room. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, their chemistry all comes back.
Yes.
It's just you can't make that up. You can't force that, I think, between actors. And
right.
you can I think audiences sniff that a mile away. And I think they just have so much chemistry that when they see each other, it's like, oh, I'm so glad they're hanging out
without
together.
a word being spoken. It's already, you can feel that connection.
Yeah.
True. And you wonder how it's going to resolve, but it's going to resolve.
Yeah,
aside from the fact that it's a romantic comedy and you're going to...
Well, and they're in that vignette.
But you can see it in their eyes and everything else. The one thing that I did think was a little bit annoying at that last scene is when he just all of a sudden goes into the joke of the song, what does this song mean?
Oh,
should we be friends? Should we not be friends? And then she's it's about being friends.
Yeah, it's about remembering not to forget them.
It's a dumb
I think it was
to try again, force feeding us. Okay, we get it. Friends are important. You didn't need to force feed us that last line.
Absolutely.
Just kiss. End credit.
What was
I'll do that last.
Forget to remember them or remember to forget them. And she's I think we should just.
It's
about good friends. Yeah, and I liked that little bit. I think that was his character can't help himself. He can't because he is uncomfortable. He's uncomfortable with emotions. Mm-hmm. He just poured his heart out, and now he's awkward. I'll make a joke. Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty human. I agree. It's pretty bad.
I know
it's really interesting actually because I feel the movie gets clumsy when they try and make it a love story.
Yeah.
It's like, and it gets awkward. I don't know if it's intentional.
See, I thought it was just me.
Unfortunately, we can't ask Nora, but I'm sure there's a documentary about it. But but it is interesting. The missteps the movie makes are when they're trying to force them together.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really, I like that. It's validating for me.
Yeah. Also, power walking between Billy and Jess when they do the power walking.
Oh,
remember that? It's super funny. I laughed. I don't know, it's ridiculous. But then he wore that sweater, that knitted sweater. I was like, oh God. It seems like a mismatch. And I'm not a fashion.
Yeah,
I don't ever comment
funny.
on fashion or anything like that. But like, I thought it was. Remember the white sweater that he wears? It's like crocheted. It just didn't look like something that Harry would wear.
I remember, but I'm trying to think where the scene was. But I kind of remember what you're talking about.
But I think it might be time. Unless you have any final thoughts.
I don't have any final thoughts. I think everyone knows how I feel.
Absolutely loved it.
Would you recommend it?
150%.
I actually think I want to watch it again.
Yeah. It's so good. Everyone should revisit it, enjoy it.
Yes.
Now it's time for our questions. I think I'll start.
Okay, you start. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think mine's going to be quick and obvious, although I want to stay true to the Match Game show, our show, rather, with FMK.
Okay, good, because... Okay, good.
Which is F, Marry, Kill.
Yes.
Here are your 3 When Harry Met Sally characters.
Okay.
Harry, Jess, and Joe. Joe, of course, is Sally's love interest and then ex-love interest. He is quite tall and blonde.
Okay, I think... So, again, this is the character.
That's right.
Not the actor.
That's right.
I think I would marry Harry.
Okay.
I would F Joe.
I got it! Thank you. You don't have to say that you would kill Jess.
Thank you. Because I do feel badly about that.
Yeah, you should.
But, yeah, I think that's a solid choice.
That's how I would answer.
I think it's a pretty solid choice.
Yeah.
And what else would it be?
Well, Joe...
No one's going to marry Joe. Joe's obviously not a marrying type.
He's pretty cranky, too. He's kind of negative.
Stiff.
But he's great for Marie. They get along. They seem like
No, I was talking about Joe.
Oh, I think you said Jess.
No.
Oh, who's going to marry Joe? No, yeah.
No one's marrying Joe.
Joe's he's kind of gross.
He cheated on his wife.
That's right, yeah.
If he even walked on the aisle.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a question for you. So it's kind of a long multiple choice, but I think you can handle it. No, okay. It's not too bad. It's fine. No need to worry about it. So during the movie, we had the vignettes of the real couples.
Yes.
Okay. So my question to you, and I do have them written down so I can review them with you.
Oh,
so you
cool.
Can remember. All right. Yeah. So my question to you is, which couple would you relate to most with your relationship?
Okay.
Okay. In their little meetings, getting together kind of story. So the first one is, I don't know any of their names, but this is the one where he was at a dance and he looked across the room and saw the wife and said, I'm going to marry her. And then 2 weeks later, they're married.
Okay.
That's the first one. The second one was that they were high school sweethearts and they moved away and then they went up 9 extra floors.
Love them. Yeah.
So cute, right? The other one was the serial divorced guy. They got married, and then 3 years later they got divorced, and he married her and Roberta, and all this, and then they got married again. Roberta. And who was that? What did I say? It was a funny couple. But then the next one is they were in. Oh wait, I might be wrong about that 9 extra floors. No, I'm wrong about the 9 extra floors. Okay. Sorry. This is the 9 extra floors. This one is they were born in the same hospital, lived in the same neighborhood, worked in the same company, and then they were in Chicago, and they had never met, and they were in Chicago, and they met in an elevator.
That's right.
And he went up 9 extra floors. The next one is they were camp counselors, and it was Ben Small from the Coney Island Smalls.
Okay.
So, and she knew, you knew about Ellen.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Cute, yeah.
And then the last one is that Asian couple who was an arranged marriage.
It's like, I have girl for you. Yeah, it's super sweet. So
they're all
they're all very cute.
So cute, so cute. So which one? I think I know which one. Yeah. But which one do you relate to most with your...
The first
one.
I'm sorry, I'm assuming you answered already.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, and fun fact, Christina was there the night I met my husband.
I know. And I actually kind of forgot about... Not forgot about that, but as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, duh, obviously.
Because we did. We were dancing, and we... I actually thought I was looking in a mirror. I thought it was like... Yeah, and
he was like dancing with himself.
No, I was walking over to the mirror because I was sweaty and gross and drunk, and I was walking over, and I realized the reflection was still dancing, and it was my now husband wearing the same outfit.
And 2 weeks later, they were married.
It was 2 weeks later, we were married. Yeah, the first year was emotional, but then after that, it's been 19 years. Wow. So yeah, but yeah, we met on a dance floor. Mm-hmm. Crazy, and you were there. Carrie and Brian were there. It was awesome.
I like to think I played a part in that.
You and Carrie did.
I actually got the pen from the bartender.
Oh my God, you did. And you and Carrie both said, I said, oh God, the guy probably thinks I was going to go hit on him. And you both said, he's cute. And I looked back and I was like, oh, he's cute. Because I was just embarrassed. I didn't even think to look back.
Yeah, but I got the pen for you to write the number down.
All right, Christina. Fine, you're responsible for my...
Thank you, finally. Finally.
It only took 19 years for me to say thank you to Christina. Christina, thank you for my life.
You're welcome.
And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please. If you have an idea for the show, a suggestion, or a comment, email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Till next time.